there is a word. It's called consilience. I'll spell it in the description so that you can, see what it is and Google it and find out what it all means and stuff. It is the description of when two things that are seemingly unrelated start acting as if they were related all along. Not that they're corollary, but like that they're or necessarily causational, but that like something else is going on that is making both these things behave in the same way. Like if you had a road that was dished, all the cars would drive in the middle because they wouldn't be able to go to one side without getting pushed to the middle or the other side without getting pushed to the middle. The cars are not driving in the middle. The road is causing them to drive in the middle. That's what consilience is in a very basic form. And there's a consilience in the church that doesn't get talked about. And of course, we're going to talk about it. That consilience is around percentages, around 80 to 90%, slightly more, slightly less, of pastors do these three things now, or have done these three things, or are projected to do these three things. And it's only when you line them up that you realize something else might be going on. First one is 80 to 90% of pastors, especially kind of Gen X onwards, are either have used or do use adult media on a regular basis, or did and are on the backside of that. They have dealt with that as a sin and they are no longer using it, but they did at one point use it, and that's an important detail to clarify. So 80 to 90%. 80 to 90% of pastors during the pandemic moved their churches online. I think Barna reported it at 96%. They moved their churches online, and most of them kept them there. There's some form of online church service at almost every church you go to now. It's just standard. And around 91%, so higher than 80, 91% according to like Church Tech Today, of pastors use AI for their ministry, and that they understand that AI is a tool to be used and that they're going to use it. These are not directly correlated. They aren't like positionally. They aren't named this way. But if you take a step back and you look at it, it's like it is odd that in the general theme of replacing the real for the artificial, pastors respond kind of all the same way. And because there is like a time-based adoption of these things, like online church happened before AI empowered church. There's no arguments about that. Like how we're using AI in ministries nowadays happened after we had already decided that church can happen in a space that's not a place, like in online spaces, which are not places, as we've discussed before. And online church happened after the proliferation and distribution and effects of online adult media, basically affecting the entire world. And we've seen this in multiple different areas, like, how it's affecting young men and how it's affecting, marriages, all that kind of stuff. These things end up in a consilience where there's a exchange for a real thing in a real time or with a real person with an artificial proxy of that thing. And that's kind of what my next book talks about. That's hopefully going to be out in the next couple months here. But yeah, like there's a consilience there. And I encourage you to just go look at those percentages and then see if that rings true for yourself. And I know that's kind of like shifty logic, but like, yeah, those things, if you had three nickels, let's parry the platypus this. If you had three nickels, it's weird that it would happen three times, right? It's like, why is it always kind of 80, 90%? Like that's well above like a statistical variance. That means like everyone's doing it. So if everyone was affected by one, could it have caused the other, or at least contributed to the other? And could the combination of those first two contribute to what we're seeing in the third? Yeah, so that's consilience. Hope you guys can check that out, and yeah, it's a neat little word to have in your back pocket for Scrabble games.